Hello again, it's Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network, taking you into the garage area and talking to the folks that make the race cars go around the racetrack. Steve Post, lead pit reporter for Motor Racing Network, joined by 25-time and championship-winning crew chief, Todd Gordon. Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm great. Coming off of Loudon.
Man.
What didn't we get this weekend?
I was thinking that, what did we not get? We saw a little bit of everything up there. Great racing, all done. A great win for Christopher Bell and Adam Stevens and everything else. Todd, what we saw, we started the Xfinity race in the rain, and we ran the Cup cars in the wet weather. It's not rain. Yeah. We got to get the word rain out of our vernacular. In wets. We started them on wet weather tires, and we ran the final 80-some laps of the Cup race on the wet weather tires, okay? Only the fourth time we've ran wet weather tires on a Cup car. This is the largest track as well. What have we learned? Where are we at with this evolution of our wets?
I think it's evolving. As you use the evolution word, but I think it's evolving. I think NASCAR's done a good job of it. There's a couple things I want to give kudos to. They moved the start time of the race up because, and TV doesn't show it, but it was dark when this race ended. And the piece that stood out to me as I was watching it on TV is you started to see the flames out of the exhaust really brighten up. You know, the apertures and whatever it is they make it look like it's daytime, but it got to be, so starting early got them to an opportunity they could finish this race.
Good point.
And then we had the rain delay. Lightning hit. I thought NASCAR, would I like to see where the teams and the crew chiefs had the ability to make their own calls? Yes. Do I think we're ready for that? No. And I think NASCAR knew that perfectly. One of the things that I don't think anybody takes into consideration, we went back on the wets with 82 laps to go? Mm-hmm. We ran some caution laps, but with 82 to go. The racetrack wasn't drying. It was pretty humid. If we're trying to run 82 laps on wets, keep in mind that Goodyear issues 3 sets of wet tires per team. That's all you get. So there's a tire allotment in line. So I think in ways, NASCAR had to control when they put those tires on. Oh, so a crew chief doesn't put himself out of tires before we get to the end of the race. That would be a black eye for the whole process of coming to wet. So I think in ways they had to put this out here and maybe let that whole piece go forward.
Right, dabble. They had to some degree do a little tire management globally.
Sometimes you got to walk before you can run.
Yeah,
and I think they had to make sure that the show that the fans got to see was all inclusive of all race cars. Because if that first caution, guys came down after 10 laps, put tires on. Well, you only have 1 set left.
Wow,
you weren't going to make it to the end.
You weren't going to make it to the end.
So I think kudos to NASCAR on that piece. I don't think they communicated as well because we had confusion of cars coming down pit road, putting tires on, then having to come back and take them back off. So that piece probably wasn't communicated as clearly as it needed to be. But as a whole, I think we put the right race on and came out with a pretty spectacular show.
When we go back to green, I listen to radio.
5-6 wide.
I listen to radio, but I watch replays on social media. I don't own a television, okay? And PRN's describing the action, and then I see a video of Christopher Bell. I mean, this is unreal. Where are you going? You're going to the front is where he's going. Yeah. It was unreal. And 5 and 6 wide, you're right.
So you had Christopher Bell that made up a ton of positions, just wrapping the wall up there, up. And the thing with wet weather racing is you want to get where there isn't rubber. Because the rubber, the water on the rubber becomes really slick.
That becomes slippery.
Much like paint. And we saw that a couple times.
We learned that, yeah.
So Christopher Bell is all the way up there. Ryan Blaney starts on the inside of the front row, and he is down just touching the grass on the apron. And we saw some guys go to run the apron and put the rights on the paint stripe of the bottom.
Yeah.
Spun them out.
Yep.
Because once that paint gets wet, it's slick. So it's a learning experience, but I tell you what, as a whole, I thought the field kind of adapted. It was cool to see them kind of hunt lines around as a racetrack kind of dried up. There got to be really one preferred line again. So it was a cool event.
It really was. Good stuff, that is for sure. Want to give a couple of attaboys. We always like to do this. Adam Stevens, Christopher Bell. Adam's 37th win. That's starting to get up there. You start getting 37. 38, he would tie Paul Wolfe for 13th on the all-time list. Active crew chiefs, Rodney is sitting at 40. So Adam is closing in on being
he's put a Hall of Fame career together. He's got 2 championships already.
That's right.
And I feel like in the crew chief thing, you have to have multiples.
Right.
So he and Paul Wolf, I think, are the 2 guys out of this current group that they're above everybody else. They both got multiple championships, and approaching that 40-win number.
It is good stuff, that's for sure. Christopher Bell and Tyler Allen was the crew chief on Saturday. Tyler Allen, 4 wins this season, 4 different drivers. Eric Almirola, John Hunter Nemechek, Ryan Truex, and now Christopher Bell. That's an amazing stat to be able to do that. I mean, I know you're in Gibbs Toyota in the Xfinity Series, but still.
I wouldn't say any of those are slack either.
No, not at all. No.
But doing a really good job with it. Probably more impressive to me. I'll give the overall number. Christopher Bell is 7 for 11 at New Hampshire in National Series races.
Oh my gosh.
He's won 7 of the 11 races he's run there. In the Xfinity Series, he's undefeated.
So what you're saying is
4 attempts.
Post could crew chief Christopher Bell at New Hampshire and we'd have a shot.
I think so. You look at it, but.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. He's so good up there.
4 Xfinity races, he's won every one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, up to the last restart, I thought Cole Custer was the guy that was going to win the race.
Yep. Well, we'll talk about that because Cole Custer's crew chief is going to join us. Jonathan Toney, he's going to join us. I got a couple other attaboys. Arca Menard Series in Mid-Ohio, William Sawalich, Matt Ross picked up the win. I mentioned that our buddy Jeff Striegel, one of our cohorts at MRN, he's the general manager at Berlin. The Arca Menard Series rolls into Berlin on Saturday night. So go to Berlin. And the modifieds, Ryan Stone, crew chief for Justin Bonsignor. Ryan, they have 42 wins together. They've been together since 2010, so kudos that. Modified racing in New Hampshire is always special for sure.
Yeah, that one's the Super Bowl for modified racing up there at New Hampshire, so a great event there as well.
Yep, Ryan Stone does a great job there, formerly with Junior Motorsports before we move back up north. Okay, we're going to step away. When we come back, Jonathan Toney joins us from over at Stewart Haas Racing. Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. Getting a chance today to catch up with one of the guys I love catching up with in the garage area. He is crew chief for Cole Custer over at Stewart Haas Racing on the Xfinity side. Jonathan Toney joins us. Hello, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How y'all doing?
We are well. It's weird not talking to you on pit road or over a stack of Goodyear tires. This is via Zoom call. It's pretty weird, but pretty cool. Always good to catch up with you. 2024. How are you doing? What's happening over there, Jonathan? How are you?
We're good. We're in a good spot. Had a solid season so far. Everybody's done a great job. Here at the shop, the road crew. The pit crew knocks it out of the park every week. Got a good little race car driver, of course, and leading the points. Of course, we want to get us a win here. We've been close several times. Circumstances, I guess, hadn't worked our way. But, man, overall, just really, really proud of the effort and looking forward to the last half of the season here.
Jonathan, I was looking at some numbers on this thing. Your average last year was a championship season. Your average finish was 11.5. This year, your average finish is 8.6, but you don't have a win yet. No. Just kind of talk about that. Talk about playoff points also that come into play, and where you guys feel like you need to be at as we roll further down to the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had a lot of weekends. We've probably, I don't say a lot of weekends, we've had some weekends where we've gotten better finishes than we probably deserved, just from how the car was and just didn't have things exactly where we needed. But I think that shows a veteran group of guys, on the team, like I said, the road crew, the overall guys, they do a great job. But then, especially that driver, he's such a veteran guy. He doesn't get rattled, even when you lose positions, fall back to 25th or 30 laps to go. He'll keep his head down and keep digging, and that's what's put us in a good points position. But I think here over we was talking about it on the way back to the airport Saturday. About over the last 6 or 8 races, I feel like we've been where we need to be to win races. Some days it goes your way and some days it don't, but really doesn't feel like we've had a clean day yet. Really, Loudon was probably the closest thing to a clean day that we had here this year. So like I say, we get a clean day and we get our man out front, get him up there in a position. Those wins are going to come. And then when that happens, then of course the points kind of starts falling into place and you start getting those precious championship points to get you prepared for the chase. And so, yeah, we're where we want to be. We're where we need to be. We hadn't got the wins that we want yet, but I'm very confident that those are coming.
Yeah, and when you look at it, you've got 10 races left in the regular season because the Xfinity playoffs don't really kick in till Kansas. So you've got a few extra races there. As we talked about, 2 playoff points, but really leading the points is another 15 if you hold that position. So that's like 3 wins in itself. That's a pad you want to have. When you look forward to the rest of the regular season, what kind of tickles your fancy? What's high on your focus of coming forward?
Of course, our goals here, is we set the goals last January, I guess, when this team kind of got together, is each and every week just to work and work to strive to get better. That's the goal each and every week, to get better. So that's not going to change. So we're going to work to get better. And if we do, then we know that we'll be where we want to be. But we got some good tracks coming up for us here, of course, that gets us, excited to go to. Nashville being one of them coming up this week. Cole ran really, really well there last year. I kind of, put him in a bad spot there, pitting late to put some scuff tires on. We didn't get to finish it we deserved, but I felt like we had a car that was capable of winning there. And of course, Chicago coming up, that's got a special place in our hearts. And so looking forward to going back there and, get to run the oval at Indy. That's exciting to get to go back and do that. So yeah, a lot of good racetracks, a lot of fun things to get to go do and be part of. So yeah, there's a lot of things to be that makes you get excited to wake up and come to work for sure.
Yeah, so chronologically, I'll take your 3 and hit them. But Nashville this weekend, triple header weekend. Typically, we've seen this place sprayed with resin. I think it's been night races. But what do you expect out of this weekend? Have you heard resin again? It's going to be really black and rubbered up.
I'm not sure about the resin. To be honest with you, I need to. That's probably a good point. I need to follow up on that. Hadn't heard for sure if they're doing anything, but man, it's going to be hot. Looking at the forecast, it's going to be hot and going to be slick out there for sure. So it's going to be premium on getting the setup right and getting Cole where he's comfortable and can have speed. So yeah, it's going to be a different different than what we're used to just because of the concrete. But yeah, it's going to be a July weekend that you would expect in Central Tennessee. So yeah, looking forward to it, but it's going to be a challenge.
You mentioned those 3 races. Let's talk a little Chicago. Maybe in the dry, is that an option for you? What did you learn last year, or did you learn anything last year that could apply to a potential dry racetrack this year?
Yeah, it was such a, even practice was in the wet and, you was kind of, for me, I was dazed and confused, honestly, kind of going through that practice. But, I felt like, with Cole, he's very adaptable and picks up on things really, really quick, which that helped us so much last year to being where we wanted to be. But then, only ran, I guess it was just 20 laps or whatever it was, to in the dry before the rain came and never really got to race in the rain. So, yeah, there's, honestly, even though we're going back for the second time, there's still a lot of unknowns. And I know that, of course, we've got, great experience, and the more people race there, the better they're going to get, and the more experience they're going to gain. And so I think this year, you can't necessarily base last year's successes and just assume that that's going to be the case this year, because everybody's going to get better and the competition's so strong. And so that's going to push us to have to continue to develop on our end, and of course Cole to develop on his end to be even better than we was last year.
Yeah, you've got this guy named Shane, I think, that's going to run your race as well. He might have won a cup race there last year, but it'll be a heck of a show. I'm going to hit the third one because we kind of went in order here because I had it my thing. Indianapolis, back to the. I don't want to call it an oval. I want to call it a rectangle. I guess. But it's a different barrel package for you guys. It's, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like Atlanta where you're a restricted engine. How do you see that playing out for you guys?
Yeah, correct. That one's going to be, of course, you go to Atlanta and even Michigan's going to run that same style engine package. And so, those places, it's going to be different because Indy, you're probably still going to be grip limited just because of the flatness of the corners and all that stuff. So yeah, it's and it's different than going to Pocono the week before because it's just the way the engine package. So yeah, it's a lot to balance there and a lot to try to figure out. But there again, it's an opportunity for us to work and put our heads together and try to come up with the best package that we can. To go there and like I say, give Cole the best effort or best car that we can to put him in a position. So, get a 50-minute practice there. So we're going to learn a lot, during that practice and be able to adapt and try some things there to get us ready for the race. But man, just what a special place to go race the history there and to be back on the rectangle. That's going to be that's going to be a really fun weekend. Got a lot of young guys on this team that's never experienced the Brickyard or been part of the Indy experience there. So to be able to experience that with those guys is going to be pretty special.
Yeah, there's something special about those cars coming down that front straightaway. I don't know. There's just something special. There really, truly is. Jonathan, about a month ago, or 3-4 weeks ago, the news that Stewart-Haas Racing was going to cease operations. Then last week, we get a little bit of a twist on this in that there's going to be one Cup team and 2 Xfinity Series teams. How have you managed the last month? Managed people, managed the guys, manage yourself, manage everything. How have you managed that?
Well, it's, of course, it's been an emotional time, for sure. I've spent the last 20 years of my life, here at what was Haas CNC Racing before. And then, of course, the last 15 years being Stewart Haas, just kind of a personal note, I guess. Walked over there, I guess it's on Memorial Day Monday, and seen all those banners flying over there. Kind of was in there by myself, knew the news was coming. And just all the emotions that kind of come over it. And honestly, it's more than the going to victory lanes and more than going to, championship celebrations and stuff. It's, the people that was here and what we've accomplished as a group of people. And a lot of these people has been here, together 10 plus years. So, that's a lot of time to spend together, a lot of life that's been shared together, seeing marriages and kids born and all of that stuff, So, to know that chapter's coming to an end, and it's personally, it's sad. It hurts. I understand the business side of it and the reasons why. But personally, it hurts. So trying to manage through that and seeing those people and knowing that this chapter is going to close, here at the end of this year, has been hard. But I'll say this: there's a reason we've won 100 races, and the reason we've won 4 championships. 2 on the Cup and 2 on the Xfinity side here over the last 15 years, and it's because we've got a group of great professional people that love to race. They're serious about it. They work hard and they're dedicated, and so that hasn't changed. So that part makes it easy, I guess, if you call it managing, easy to manage the racing side of it. I guess the harder part for me is to manage the personal side of it and not allow that to lose focus on the task at hand. But I'm sure as November gets closer and we get closer to that time to knowing people's leaving and not going to be part of this organ, going to move on to other things, it's going to be hard. But, I think a lot of people's going to end up on their feet. I think, that's going to be a good thing. So, look forward to the next chapters, whatever that might be. But I'm very, very thankful and blessed to be part of what we've accomplished here over the last 15 to 20 years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's been impressive to watch. And then this week, I think this previous week, they announced that there will be some sort of that one of the charters is going to be kept as a Haas team, and that the Xfinity program will stay active through into 2025, and I believe as a Ford program as well. But does that bring relief to your guys? Because not only you, but all the guys that you're managing. I mean, it's their livelihoods, and how does that kind of stabilize things for you?
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a good thing. I know, Joe Custer has been working, on trying to get some things together, and still, I'm sure he's still got a long ways to go to get things where he wants it to be. But the stability of knowing that at least on our side, that the Xfinity program is going to be here. Of course, that takes that worry, I guess, so to speak, out of where a paycheck's going to come from, and where the future's going to lie, beyond here. And we know there's going to be a future here. So that's definitely a great thing and a great thing to know. And so it does, of course, help you stay focused on this weekend and the task at hand, at least taking that one worry away.
you've got such a fascinating story there with Haas CNC Racing, then Stuart Haas Racing. And I was reading an article, and you talked about a 5-year-old Joe Custer's boy Cole had the wheelies on the back of his heels and riding up and down the ramps there, and you're scared to death the kid's going to bust his head open. Right. You've watched this kid grow up. 5-year-old Cole Custer versus 2024 version of Cole Custer. What have you seen in him and his evolution? What have you seen in him that's made him a championship driver?
Well, I think, you've seen him grow up. He's been around racing, like you said, his whole life. I don't know that he knows not going to a racetrack. So I think that definitely, helps for sure. I think, his passion for the sport and passion to work and get better, I think it's unparalleled. I've said, last year when going through that championship stretch and, me being my first year as a crew chief, in that role, I couldn't think of a better driver to work with just because of his leadership. And he doesn't let me rest, which is a good thing. He pushes, asks all the right questions to make sure that we're getting better. So I think what has the evolution, especially, from the time even his driving career, from when he was here and, the first stint on the Xfinity side in 17, 18, 19, when he was, just a teenager, basically, to where he's at now, it's just his leadership, his being able to, like I say, ask the right questions, keep us moving forward. Don't settle on what we done last time. We got to always continue to push to get better. That's what's made him, to me, the complete driver. Becoming the complete person and driver that he is just always had the talent, no doubt about that. From the time I seen him racing when he was 14, 15 years old, there was no question the talent. But I think the leadership role that has taken on and taken it seriously is what is making him a championship level driver for sure.
Two things that stand out. I think about that Truck Series win at New Hampshire, and he was just a kid. And the other thing, selfishly, if this racing thing didn't work out for him, he'd be a good radio broadcaster because he joins us in the MRN booth occasionally for truck races, and we absolutely love when Cole Custer joins us. That is for sure. Good guy and exciting stuff, that's for sure. Jonathan, we appreciate your time joining us here with us today. Appreciate the insight in all things and wish you well at Nashville and on throughout. We'll talk to you down the road. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
There we go. Jonathan Toney, crew chief for Cole Custer over at Stuart Haas Racing. Stay with us. More crew call in just a moment. Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. Todd Gordon and Steve Post. I love talking to Jonathan Toney. He's just real. He's just old school, real. His dad, I was reading in that story and we ran out of time. He was a 4-year-old kid, 3 or 4-year-old kid, and his dad took him to Hickory Motor Speedway. He ran down to the fence, put his hands in the fence, and he hasn't left a racetrack since. And his dad and him were talking. They were coming back from Hickory one time, and he wasn't going to drive. And they were talking about it. He said, Dad, I want to do this. I want to do this for a living. And he explored, and he found out engineering was going to be big. Got a mechanical engineering degree at UNC Charlotte, and here we are. And I love that story. I was the little kid announcing at the little dirt track 5 Mile Point Speedway, and so I love when I hear people that have the same story, even though we're different roots. But I love that long storied history and passion he has.
Yeah, it's in his blood.
Yeah,
it's definitely in his blood, and truly a racer and a great guy, and tough times to kind of lead everybody through, but they've had success through it, and a little light at the tunnel now. So interesting to see where this is all going to play out. It's going to be interesting to see how the whole evolution of this program of the Xfinity and the Single Cup charter work forward for Cole and that group.
Fun to see, that is for sure. Also fun to see is Music City, USA, Nashville. We're still trying to figure out what's going on with the racetrack, but we know it's going to be hot. We know all 3 series are going to be there, and it's just going to be interesting to see what we have. This track has really become a fun track on the tour as well.
It is, and I used to race it in the Busch Series, Busch Series, Nationwide Series,
right,
when it was a standalone, and I always loved it. It's, to me, this place is a racetrack. It's 1 1/3 miles.
Yeah.
It's the biggest short track we've got. That's the way it races to me. You got a fair amount of break into turn 3. You got break into turn 1. The corner radiuses are pretty tight. I always felt like, because this and Iowa both came into the Busch Series nationwide, what's Xfinity now, about the same time. Iowa to me raced like a little intermediate. and Nashville races like a big short track. They're kind of different in that respect. A lot of brake usage in a concrete surface that the two races we put on there since we've been going back, especially when they spray resin on it, I would expect them to do it again. I don't know that, but it gets wide. There's rubber all over the racetrack, guys running all over the racetrack. It's a phenomenal show in a great part of the country.
Yeah. Really is fun. Really is fun. I'm bummed. I love going out there, and we'll see all the pictures of everyone on Lower Broadway, and I'll have a little envy of everybody, but it's all right. Time marches on, and if I need to go to Lower Broadway, there's planes and automobiles that can get me there on my own. Exactly. There are. It is cool. I love it. I love what we have this weekend. We are there. Motor Racing Network is there. 7:30 on Friday night, the Rackley Roofing 200 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. So we will be on the air there. And then Performance Racing Network takes over for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, the Ally 400 over the weekend. So there you have it. Of course, we are busy all week long here. NASCAR Live, NASCAR Live Wide Open, our Thursday podcast series, NASCAR Coast to Coast, covering the roots of the racing, Wing Nation covering sprint cars, and NASCAR Crew Call. And we always invite you to subscribe, like, and share all of our programming here on MRN. He's Todd Gordon. I'm Steve Post. We appreciate Jonathan Toney joining us. More important, though, than all of that, thank you for joining us here this time on Crew Call.